Hello. So, I think a lot of people are asking the question, is singles cards inflationary and sale products deflationary in nature? So, it's an interesting question, but I don't think it's as simple as that. So, let's say, how do you get singles card? So, you have a sale product, you open it up, and then you get a card. Right? Okay. So, what essentially people are trying to say is that because you need to open a booster pack or box or whatever, the number of booster boxes available goes down. Mhm. But the number of cards goes up. Yes, this is very simple. This is very true. But here's the nuance. It's not as simple as that. Firstly, depending on the card's rarity, it might be 1 in 500, 1 in 250, whatever it is, right? It's never gonna be highly inflationary. It's still gonna go up. But also the main thing, right? So let's assume it's a product that's never gonna be reprinted. So let's say it's what Jill Base said, right? Even though the number of cards might go up, no matter what the rarity is, as more products are getting opened, it's still fixed in nature. And why is that? Because all of those are totally under how much was printed. So what matters more than whether if it's a simple inflationary or deflationary product is how much was printed, right? So if only X amount was printed, only X amount is going to be printed, right? So let's say 500,000 booster packs were printed, or let's say 500 million. Doesn't matter. Like, it's just a number. So, and if you look at the ratio, so even if there's like 500 million, 500 million, it's still limited to like 1 million cards, which would be available because of the rarity and because of the nature of how it is. So the main things that matters is how much was printed and how much was opened when. So in the short term, buying singles might not be the best idea, right? Because if it's still in print and you don't know what's happening, it's going to be risky. It might get overprinted. Let's not use that words like overprinted, underprinted. It might get printed a lot. It might get printed less. But essentially, again, it's all fixed supply. So it's very similar to Bitcoin, essentially, in a way. So Bitcoin is fixed at 21 million. Most of it is mined already. Some is left. This shrinks. This increase. But why does Bitcoin prices still go up, right? The reason for that is demand, right? So no matter more is getting added to this pot, it's still pricey because it's a fixed supply. Like at the end of the day, it's fixed supply. Same for Pokemon cards. Once it's out of print, before it's out of print, it's a bit risky, but once it's out of print, it is in a fixed supply. Of course, there's other things maybe Pokemon can reprint something which is out of print. I highly doubt they would do that, primarily because it wouldn't bring any advantage for them. Think of it like, how do I say? Their aim for the cards is for players, right? So if they have already taken a bunch of cards out of rotation, it wouldn't make much sense for them to print it because it doesn't add any value to the players. But that doesn't mean that they still won't print it. They still might. Okay. But essentially, yes, it is kind of inflationary in nature, and this is deflationary. But it's not as simple as that. Even if it is inflationary, it's still fixed. It's still fixed on how much is available because of how much was printed. It is not fiat currency where, like, the government can continue, you know, increasing the amount of money that is in circulation. This is fixed in circulation. So that's my thought on that. So then, why do people think that seal is better? Yeah, seal might be better, but there's also no guarantee that it would be, right? Because let's say if it's a product that is sealed, and then but it was like heavily printed and it is widely available, that would never really take off, right? So it's about finding the balance of, like, how much seal stuff you want and how much singles you want. This doesn't mean that either one is better than the other. It's just diversification. You just need to pick out the ones you like and stick with it. It's as simple as that. You might be successful, you might not be, but you still end up with things that you want. And also there's the other factor, right? So let's say a product gets opened, and let's say more cards come into the pool or into the supply. It depends on how much product is being opened. So if that rate is consistent and normal, or even if that rate goes up, for a time the card prices might go down because more product comes into the market. But on the long run, it still might go up. Again, the most important thing is the card interesting? Is it something that people value? Is it something that people want, essentially? So yeah, this doesn't mean that you are to invest in either anyway. It's just something that you have to think about and do your own thing. But essentially, I don't think it's a matter of deflationary or inflationary, because I think that's just a stupid word that people use without having much thought behind it. They just think of it like, oh, the seed product goes down, oh, the card number goes up. But yes, they are all fixed within one large context of how much is printed. So that's where I think people are getting it wrong or confused. So that's just my thought. So make of it what you will. So that's my short spiel. Thank you guys, and have a good day.